Okay, good evening and welcome, Googlers, to GEG Amman's Tip Tuesday. My name is Georgina Dean. I'm the leader for GEG Amman, and I'm very excited today because I'm joined by my super special guest, Cara, to my right, who is joining all the way from the other side of the world. So without further ado, I'm going to let Cara introduce herself. Go ahead, welcome, Cara.
Hi, thanks for having me. My name is Kara Buckley, and I am an instructional and assistive technologist in a very small district just outside of the capital region in Albany, near Albany, New York. We're in Ravenna, so we've got about 2 elementary schools, a middle school, and a high school. And I've been the instructional technologist here for about 5 years, I think. And before that, I was the middle school librarian. So yeah, that's pretty much all about me.
That is
um,
so exciting. And we were chatting a little bit before the show and you were saying that they're forecasting for snow soon. Is that right?
yeah, we are looking to get snow on Friday, and I am so excited. I miss snow. I love the fall and the cold weather. So hopefully we're looking at 1 to 3 inches. So I'm hoping it happens. It'll be great.
I gotta tell you, it's one thing that I definitely miss from Canada when I was growing up there is definitely the snow. So my eyes were all shiny when you said snow soon,
Yep.
and I was like, ah.
I'll send you a picture if it happens.
Oh, that's so exciting. That's so cool. Well, I've been to because Ottawa, where I grew up, is not too close from the border, and so we used to drive up to New York, from weekend to weekend here and there. So, but I haven't been to Albany yet. It's one of the places I haven't visited. So,
My daughter and I were in Ottawa actually last winter for a weekend. So it was great. We love it up there.
it's
Can't wait to go
beautiful.
back.
Yeah. And I don't think, I haven't seen any snow here in Jordan. It's just the start of my second year here now in Amman, Jordan. But last year we did have some crazy hailstorms up on top of the mountain. Like,
Wow.
yeah, and in the springtime too, not in the normal, like, cold seasony that it's supposed to be. But
Right.
yeah, right at the beginning of spring, there was just this crazy, and the hail pieces were like super large. So it was an interesting season change. Let's just say that.
Yeah, we usually get hail in the summer and the spring. We don't get it in the fall or winter. We just get ice and snow, but that's okay. I like
Ah,
it. I like
cool.
it. I like it anywhere else.
It's exciting. It's one of the most beautiful times of the year is fall and winter. I think it's just such a contrast to the normal summer, spring, obviously. So
It
without
is.
further ado, Cara, we will get started with Tip
Sure.
Tuesday. We're really excited. As you heard Cara say, she has 5 years experience working at the district level in her area with some different elementary and secondary high school schools. I always get them mixed up when I'm introducing them because, and in the British side down here, we call those primary and secondary, but in North America, they're called high school and elementary. So I always get tongue tied when I introduce them. But we are really excited to have you joining us, and I know you've got a really exciting deck to share with us today from all of your expertise, Cara. So I'm going to pass the floor to you. I'm going to go ahead and drop Cara's slide deck in the chat. If you'd like to follow along with her, please do so. Or if you'd like to watch on the screen with us, let us know. And you can drop your questions in the chat for Cara in the YouTube channel, and we're definitely going to open those up to her at the end of her presentation. So without further ado, Cara, we will pass the floor over to you.
Great. Well, this year was the first year due to the whole COVID thing that we're currently going through, pandemic, that we had to get or go virtual for all of our students. So sorry, there's just a little echo that's throwing me just a little bit. um, so we actually went 1-to-1, and that meant from kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade, all of our students have Chromebooks. And for our teachers, especially our elementary teachers, kindergarten, first, second, that was a little daunting. Some of them have never used it. So there's this book, which I of course forgot to bring with me, but the link is on there, called Google for Littles. And I thought the best thing to do for my teachers would be to kind of get some ideas together and do a presentation for them so that they can use Google with their kids. And it has gone better than I could have ever hoped. So I'm just going to kind of go over some things that we have done that have made it a little bit easier. And this is the book, Google Apps for Littles, Believe They Can, by Christine Pinto and Alice Keeler. Alice Keeler is very proficient on Twitter, so I'm sure some of you have heard from her. You really want to start slow with your littles. You kind of start with one thing and then build. And just like any form of technology, you want it to be meaningful. You don't want to use technology just to use technology. That doesn't change no matter what level that you're on. You want to start early. You want to have a lot of patience. You want to give them time to explore, but you want to be really, really consistent. And what I mean by being consistent is if you have them log on, you have them log on the exact same way. Then you have them go to classroom or whatever you start to have them do, you have them do consistently till they become comfortable. And then once they're comfortable with that, you kind of can add one thing on at a time. And then you have to think about your purpose. You know, teaching with technology is just like teaching with anything else. You have a purpose, you have a plan, and if the technology works in, great. If it doesn't, then it's just going to be more of a hindrance than a help. A lot of helpful hints that we found as far as, I think one of the most things, the things that my teachers were most concerned about was having the kids being able to log in. And we found by that first afternoon, I went in the morning for an hour and I worked with the kids, that they were able, some of them were able to get themselves logged in right away. Practice. We did login cards and you can color code those cards. So, for example, if you have your keyboard and each row of the keyboard has a different color, so maybe your home row, A through L, is red and your Q through P is blue. Every time that there's a letter on their login card, it could correspond to that color. It also will help them match their letters. It will help them learn their letters if they don't already know. So we found that that wasn't as daunting as we thought it would be. What we do need to do is kind of go over the parts of a computer and as well as basic digital citizenship. You know, a lot of times people will just assume that these kids know what they're doing because they can work a phone or they can work an iPad, but no one's really ever talked to them about how to be appropriate, what their digital footprint looks like, how to treat a device, especially when they don't own it. So I don't take anything for granted. I do try to, go over from the beginning, okay, this is a computer and this is how we treat it, but we make it fun, I'll get a Chromebook and I'll pretend to throw it like a football or a frisbee, and they laugh and they giggle, but they get the point. Also in the presentation, I have included some links to some elementary posters I've created. I did that for my teachers and feel free to use them. Everything is there. I'm a librarian, so you create it, you give it. So that's just, my philosophy. Because we're virtual, it doesn't necessarily need to change things. You still have your workflow, you still have your routines. Come in the morning. So in our case, our first graders come in the morning. They get their breakfast. Then they log onto the computer after their breakfast, and we're using something called CloseGap for social emotional learning. So they know to go in and go to CloseGap and fill out their questions. And then, they have their work that they do, whether it be on the computer or on a piece of paper. So their morning is pretty consistent. And after a while, you don't have to go over things with them. They come in, they do what they need to do, and they're off and running. The use of Chromebooks will increase our collaboration, especially in this time, since all of our desks are 6 feet apart. We can only have 15 kids per classroom. They're not allowed to work together the way they used to. But if they can collaborate in documents and on a Jamboard or something like that, it allows for that level of cooperation. In our secondary, it also allows if a student is home. So all of our kids can be on the Meet. A student in school can be paired with a student at home, and they can do whatever whatever assignment or work or collaboration they need to do. you can still work your center rotations just because the kids aren't physically getting up. It's our teachers who move K through 7. High school, the kids move around, but it's the teachers in the elementary and middle who do the moving. Kids don't really get up and get to do that much. So you can still have your center rotations because everybody has a device. We found that by assigning Chromebooks, where it's easier to keep track of who's having trouble, who we need to work with, and we just, our teachers usually assign a kid a number, and then that number becomes their Chromebook number. So 1 through 12, and everything in the classroom for little Susie is 1, little Billy is 2, and that works out really, really well. And using Google Classroom, I think, is essential for this because it helps organize everything. It takes care of your sharing permissions. You don't have to go 4 different places. The kids aren't looking for the right document. Just the way you're presenting things just kind of changes a little bit using the Google Classroom. So those are our basics. So what I've done is I've divided the ideas up into different apps. And lots of times you're using more than one app, but in this case, I'll start with Google Drawings. I think Google Drawings is a very underused tool, especially for our littles. They can create their own drawings. They can learn how to use icons. They can follow directions. I remember one class when I was at the middle school level and I was teaching technology. I had one of my inclusive classrooms and special ed, and we were able to learn the importance of following directions and how to write directions just by using Google Drawings. So I gave them a sheet of directions and they had to create a monster. Then they got to create their own monster, but they had to write out the directions. And then we gave those directions out. It was fun to see who wrote really good directions and whose directions needed a little help. And even our really shy kids could not wait to share, do the comparison of the monster they created and the ones of the people who followed directions. So
I love that, Kara. I absolutely.
It's great.
Yeah, it's super awesome. I just wondered, Kara, because you had such an amazing presentation to share, I wondered if you'd like to share your screen in so that we could follow along with you. Is that okay?
Oh my goodness.
No, it's okay.
I am famous for doing this. When I do my presentations at work, this is usually what happens. I am so sorry.
No, that is totally okay. We just wanted to follow along. You had this amazing visual deck, and I wanted to make sure that everybody was seeing your beautiful work at the same time. So thank you for that, Kara.
That's a little embarrassed.
No, that's okay.
There's your book. And then just helpful hints. It's not too great. This was where we ended up. How to. And this is just a copy of the assignment. Now, all of these assignments are available either by going to the links that I've provided in the presentation, or by just literally Googling interactive slides or interactive assignments in Google for littles, or creating them yourself. But this one I did not create myself. This uses Google Drawings to be able to create a Sunday. So what the kids do is they just double click on the box, it'll open the drawing, and then they can physically move the items to create what they want, and then they click save and close. And then here they do the same thing, only they're learning the steps of a how-to. So how to put the cone, then I put the chocolate, then I put the sprinkles. And you can do this for anything. It doesn't have to be ice cream. And the beauty of this is if you assign it through Google Classroom and give them their own copy, you can then grade each one. So now you know where the disconnect from the lesson is, or if there is a disconnect. If you get to understand which student got the concept because you have all of their work. And you can have them, literally write out and follow directions from their Google Doc. Slides is very proficient. there's so much you can do with slides. So you can do color words or learning colors. You can do sorting, numbers, math, magnetic poetry. You can teach them Chromebook basics. Some of these I created, most of them I did not. But I've used them with the first grade, and not only does it teach the kid the color skill, but it also gets them comfortable with using the trackpad. I found teachers automatically assume that their kids need mice, and they really don't, because they become more and more comfortable with a trackpad than we do, or at least I do, because I've always used the mouse. So for me, that's most comfortable. But getting them to use the trackpad and learning those skills, they'll be a whiz at it. So this one in particular is one that I did with the first grade. And literally, they see the word, and they just drag the item to whatever color it is. And they loved it. They breezed right through that, and then there was discussions, you know, what's blue, what's purple? Well, on my computer, it's this color. Why did you pick that color? So it was great. This magnetic poetry one is for your students who are a little bit older. I pulled it just because it was there, and I don't know who your audience is sometimes, but they literally, it looks like one of those magnetic poetry boards, and they can just pick their words and drag it. And these are very easy to create. You literally just create text boxes with different words. And then when you assign it, if each student has their own copy, they can move it themselves as opposed to just viewing the item. Numbers and math, the same thing. This is, here they can draw a shape. So I have one circle. And they get to personalize it, make it any color they want. And again, then you can see, well, they've got 1 through 5, but 6 through 10 is slowing them down. You can do more or less. You can do math. You can make groups and then say which is more, which is less. So for any kind of activity, you can create something. This was a great one. This is this was a copy of Chromie the Chromebook by Ben Coswell, and he basically has little videos that shows them how to use it, how to add their name, learn how to drag items. So this is really, really good. Here again, you can put your story in order. So slides is really great for having those interactive activities for the kids. Google Docs, Google Docs is great because it's typing, but it's also voice typing. So for those kids who can't spell very well, or you want them to get their ideas out on paper, just using the voice typing setting on Google Docs is great. A HyperDoc is just an item that has all of the activities in one place. So this is just a great link, but it's easy enough that if we're here, I'm going to just add another page so I can show you very quickly how to voice type. So if we wanted our kids to illustrate in words how they got their Sunday, we come over to Tools, and we click Voice Typing, and you click here to speak, and then you just start talking. So I created my Sunday by first picking the cone, and then I chose chocolate ice cream, and then I put sprinkles on it. And when they're done, they click Done with the microphone, and everything is just there. And then you can teach them capitals and punctuation, and is it a good sentence? Is it not a good sentence? But it allows them to get their ideas out on paper quicker than they would have to if they relied on just having to type it. Now, this does not take away from writing. This does not take away from learning their letters. It's just a matter of what your purpose is. Is your purpose to get them to understand the organization or the how-to? Then your purpose isn't to teach them to type. Your purpose is to get them to understand how they did something or the steps. And in this case, using voice typing would be very, very helpful. Jamboard, this is brand new. You can use Jamboard for your kids who are in school, not in school. You can also do it through Google Meet. So this was something that somebody created, I kind of found on the internet. Actually, one of my teachers found it and shared it with me. But this is their morning calendar. And if you share it so that everybody can edit, you can still do your morning meeting with your kids. So they have to know the month, they can pick the date, they can type the day of the week. Then you come here and your next one is what the weather is. So they have to pick a word and a picture and the season. And you can have different students do different parts of it. So just like you would have Billy come up to do the first, days of the week, then you have Sally come up to do the weather. So Jamboard has a lot of great activities, even without creating something special. So this is a compare and contrast one of my teachers decided to use. And in your conversation, you can be having your conversation. This can be up on the board. The kids can be at their seat, and they literally can add a text box or an image and, move that image around. So if they think it's something adults did, like adults get to drive a car, but children get to ride in the car. Adults and children both eat dinner. They both have a bedtime. Well, I have a bedtime. I don't know about anybody else. But it's a way to allow the kids to participate and have that interaction while we're still in the middle of the pandemic. And then you can also do matching activities. So cause and effect, meaning the fly gets stuck, what effect did that have? They wanted to learn to catch the wind. The spider doesn't want to get in the vacuum. So now the kids can, after reading the book, match up all of the little Post-it notes. They call them little Post-it notes. And again, this can be shared where each student can have a copy, or you can, again, have your whole class on one. But if each student has a copy, then again, you can see where each individual kid is. And you can just put this out through Google Classroom just the way that you do normally everything else. These are just apps that can be used. In New York now, we've started we have a lot of privacy issues going on. So certain apps we're not allowed to use anymore until we get vendor-signed agreements. But Storyboard, that is a great application that allows kids to create comics. So I can just very quickly show you an assignment. So this is kind of because of Winn-Dixie. So they can type, they can change the clothes and all the different things on their person. We actually were able to use this with an 8th grade class who was reading the Diary of Anne Frank, and it was very good for them to visually see the characters and how they previewed what the characters look like. Breakout EDU, we can't actually use the breakout boxes anymore, but we can use the digital logs. So if you have a subscription, they do have some free ones. But basically, Breakout EDU is kind of a lockbox, and it's kind of an escape room box. So you give them clues, and the kids have to figure it out. I hope my internet is terribly slow here, especially now that all of our kids are on it. So I can then quickly show you, they have all different levels, again, K through 12. They have digital games, science, math. Your user-generated are the free ones, but a lot of the ones, some of the ones that the company creates are paid. But basically, you click on your link, you then play the game. So you can then push this out to each one of your kids, and they would have the ability to follow the story and try and unlock the locks. So that is Breakout. Flipgrid, you put a video out, they put a video back in. Ozobots are those wonderful little robots about this big. You can program them either through Blockly or through color coding, which I've done with 1st grade, and they love it. And then Google Forms. I use Google Forms for everything, but my first graders and my kindergartners can use it for spelling tests. How are you going to give a spelling test to a kid without, having them do it virtually? Well, you record a quick little video. I think I was able to put this here and show you how I did it. Yep. So you have them fill out their email address or have it automatically collected. You put a little video, and then they have to spell the word. And again, that's a great way. You can either have it autocorrect or you can correct it. You could then, if they got it wrong, you can, filter your feedback, and you could send them to another form or a location, a document to help them learn what they've missed. So this can be used for math, this can be used for spelling, and if you do individual words, you will eventually have a repository of hundreds of words. It's really, really simple. I literally created this in 2 minutes. Again, I'm sorry, it's a little slow, but spell the word cat, you give them a sentence, and on you go. So with this, you really do want to teach the kids about collaboration. Again, it's a skill that we sometimes think they know, but they don't. They don't know how to work in groups. They don't know how to collaborate with someone else. So you discuss what it is. You discuss how you can see it. With the 5th grade, I was in teaching phys ed this morning, actually. They're doing creating a great workout video. And we had to discuss, well, when you're all on the same Google slide, it's going to be really slow, and don't be a happy clicker where you just clicking. Start with small groups. Give the kids a color, so they're looking for their color, their name, their number. Collaborate with buddies. In Google Classroom, you can still have those upper elementary school buddies by putting them in the same Google Classroom. Create a classroom called Buddies and have your lower elementary and your upper elementary kids. Or at the high school level, create a classroom with all of your students in, so that when you create groups, you're pulling groups from everybody in that who is taking that class, as opposed to just your section. And then you want to teach the basics of every type of item you're using, every application. Don't automatically assume that they know it. Teach them how to do voice typing, or teach them how to type. And just make the activities fun. So at the end here, this is really, really important. I forgot about this slide. Basic digital literacy skills. Again, it's not something that the kids automatically know. It's not something parents automatically know. So Common Sense Media has a great curriculum from K through 12 that has interactive lessons. They use Nearpod, and I don't need to print the sentence, thank you. All different kinds of things, and they have a curriculum for each grade level, and it tells you what it covers. So if you start in kindergarten, by the time you get to 12th grade, you're going to have very literate students. They also have games, and they have reviews and lessons. So, and they give the teacher everything. It's free. You can sign up for an educator account, and they give you everything. And then our last slide is pretty much just all of the links that I found helpful in creating these documents. So Bitmoji classrooms are really the rage now, and HyperDocs, and Google for Littles templates. This is where I got most of the templates that I didn't create myself. And you don't need to recreate or reinvent the wheel. You can just use what's out there. So that is it. And of course, I always try to put in my reference page. So that is pretty much my presentation. And I just was wondering if anyone had any questions.
Kara, we are so excited for all of your Google for Little shares. I was like, oh, this is so cool. This is so exciting. And yeah.
I thought it was really quick, but it's at least when I do it in person, I'm able to have people ask questions and, get to cover it and kind of tailor it to my audience. So this is a little bit different for me, as you can see by the fact that I didn't share in the beginning. So sorry.
No, this is so exciting, and you clearly come with a lot of expertise. I know, Kara, you were saying that you worked as a librarian before as well, and so media, digital literacy, this is all like really, really important, and especially now in the COVID time. So all of these helpful resources you shared are so important. You had a lot of love in the chat. We had Dina joining from Cairo, Egypt. We
Oh,
also had,
wow.
yeah, we also have Shannon Moore joining us from Visalia in California, so from your part of the world, and a few others. So yeah, really, really exciting to hear and see also your examples. So thank you so much for swapping between
Oh, my
the deck
pleasure.
and into the links. We, particularly for myself and also I think for Shannon about the Breakout EDU, I hadn't actually seen that site before, so I'm really excited to see how we could possibly get that to our educators down here as well in Amman and also across other parts of EMEA and globally as well. So these were brilliant shares. I noticed you
I would
had,
be happy to do the whole breakout thing. I'm also a breakout certified educator as well as
oh,
Mountain Lab
wow.
educator. So I'm more than happy to do presentations for that as well and kind of go over the basics. And, um, it's definitely, it's great. My kids love it. And it really allows students who are not normally successful to be really successful. So it's a great tool.
Yeah, that's really exciting. So if that's okay with you, maybe we can bring you back in a few weeks to do a
Oh,
session on
yeah, no problem.
breakouts. Yeah, that'd be cool. I know we had Darren on last academic year doing a session on breakouts, but as you know, just like in the classroom, it's so important to revisit these helpful tools, and there's always new tricks, tips and tricks that we can learn from different strategies that educators are using them, as a variety in different new ways. So yeah, we'd love to have you back to do another session on that. And I know that the others in the chat would be really excited to have you back as well. So Kara, I've shared out your deck in the YouTube chat, so everybody has a chance to connect with you there because you also shared your connections at the end. But I wanted to ask you if you had any shout outs that you'd like to give as well, a website, a community that you'd like to shout out live on air, to give you the opportunity as well.
Actually, I don't. I love being a Google educator, so I think Google has been great for, um, you know, getting these tools into my kids' hands. But I just love when I can find something new. And I literally last week I became an Algebra educator, so I guess they would be my first shout out because that was really fun and creating lessons and coding and things like that. There's just so much you can do. There's just never enough time in which to do it.
Oh, absolutely. We could do a session probably every day of the week for all the different things that are coming out there. But I absolutely couldn't agree with you more, Kara, especially in the googly side of the universe, is that there's always new things to learn and new strategies and creative ways to think about using Google innovatively across education. So it's one of my favorite things about being part of the Google for Education communities, the GEGs, and like you said, the educator groups and trainers and innovators. So it's just brilliant. Kara, before we go, we had one more question in the chat, if that's okay, from Shannon. She's asking, if you, and again, this is just, asking about your personal experience as a Google educator, have you encountered challenges with virtual center rotations before? And if so, how did you overcome them?
A lot of my littles haven't gotten that far. So I haven't really run into a lot of center rotation issues yet. I do expect them to come. So I think my suggestion would be to just, and it's very difficult because you're going to have, it's not as different as the center rotation in the classroom. You're still requiring the students to be present at what they're doing while you are trying to help other students. I think possibly using the technology could make it a little bit easier because you could be two places or two windows at the same time, you can, you have the kids you're working with here, but you can still be in the center. I would probably make the center either a shareable document, like a Jamboard, or something everybody could work on, where then you can go into your center while they're working on it and make sure everyone's on task and making sure everyone understands the assignment that they're supposed to be doing. And so I haven't actually run into that yet, but I'm anticipating. I have a first grade teacher I work very closely with that I'm in her class. I try to be in her class every week, and we're going to get there. So I'm hoping to guide her that, okay, well, you're here working with these guys, but don't forget these guys are over here. And, just make it either a room, a breakout room, another meet, or a shared document.
I love that.
So
And
we're
those
in one place.
absolutely, those are brilliant ideas. And I'd like to add on to that too. For myself, I would anticipate, I don't know, have you guys rolled out breakout rooms yet in your school, Kara? Has it reached your domain yet or no? Just got it.
I
Okay.
don't think every single one of our teachers have it yet. That's been the big, why does Susie have breakout rooms and I don't? Well, I don't know. I can't tell you.
It's
It'll
coming.
come, I promise. It's coming. Have you updated? Have you reset your link? Have you done all the things that
Right?
you're supposed to do that I told you to do last week?
Right? Here's the troubleshooting list. Go, go, go. When you get to the end, come back to me and let me know exactly. I love that. No, but it's true. We also we haven't got the breakout rooms yet in our domain here at work in Jordan, but I do anticipate, similar things going on as you, Kara, that it may be difficult at the beginning, especially for our littles who are so used to having routines and need that extra support. So something that I'm going to try to put in place is to try to have fewer breakout rooms at the beginning, maybe only one breakout room. So like just that you have two rooms going side by side and always with an extra adult. So like the teacher assistant, I don't know if that's a thing in your side of the world.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah, maybe like an all hands on deck approach that if you're going to try a breakout room, make sure you have a couple of adults. And of course, I'll jump in there as well to support my team and just to help them with the logistics. But I'll probably recommend, especially for those really younger grades, just to have, 2 or 3 max to start with before getting into larger number of breakouts. So that's my little tip to add on to Kara's lovely shares there.
I actually did get to use one the other day with
Oh.
our virtual class. I had 2 kids that were having trouble with one of the apps they were using, so I was able to get into a breakout room. The rest of the class was going on. These 2 kids could hop in, get their stuff fixed, and go right back into class. It was great. I didn't have to interrupt the class. I didn't have to take any time, and it worked very well. So fingers crossed, it keeps working.
Yeah, and that's the thing with new education technology, right, Kara? I'm sure you can attest that is that we just have to take those risks, try it out. It may not work the first time, especially since it's something brand new, even for us instructional coaches, etc. And so it's just get out there. Everybody put their awesome risk taking hats on, give it a go, and what doesn't work, we learn from it and we move forward. So I love that approach, Karen. Thank you.
It's gonna be very messy. It will be messy, but it's okay because then it'll be less messy. But if you go in expecting it to be messy, you won't be disappointed.
I like that. Absolutely. And I was listening to a leadership talk earlier today and they were saying the same thing. Don't ask me who because I'm not good with names, as Shannon will attest in the chat. But it was a gentleman from UCLL, I think, some university in your neck of the woods. Actually, he was giving a talk on leadership, and he was saying how the people that are often successful, in crisis situations like the COVID pandemic, are not necessarily the optimists who think, well, it will get better, are the ones who know that we're in the middle of it. And so we do disaster recovery now, and we come up with those creative solutions now instead of hoping that it's going to get better later. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do find too that the teachers who are willing to take a chance, especially if they're uptight, I never let them quite go by themselves. So the first time you do something, I'm going to be right there. We're going to be talking the kids through it. I'm going to be helping out. And then they see that, oh, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. And you have your teachers who will work with you and your teachers who won't. And the teachers who do, have this great experience, and everyone's like, well, why can't I do that? I'm like, well, you could, but you just in your classroom and it'll be great. But we've been pleasantly surprised by how it's worked, and how well the kids adapt to all the new technology. And my teachers who have definitely, sorry, the phone's ringing.
That's okay.
My teachers who have taken the chance have all been pleasantly surprised. They were all very concerned about it going right and how it's going to work, but once it got down to it, it was great. And they were like, wow, that went really much better than I thought it would be.
It's one of those beautiful silver lining pieces, right? And I think that we can always find, actually, if we just look a little, a lot of bright spots and a lot of items and things that we can celebrate and people and wins. And so I think that every little small step that we each take, including educators, including leaders, administrators, students, even families supporting at home, every little step that we take in the community is a really big win. So absolutely. And I'd like to take the opportunity to bring Tip Tuesday then to an end on that lovely bright note, Cara, just because I know we both have things to go do then at the turn of the hour. Cara is joining us from work, as you heard from her phone ring. So we want to wrap this up. But Cara, if that's okay with you, we'd love to bring you back for another breakout EDU session in a few weeks maybe, or after the holidays. Yeah, we'd love to have that. So guys, in the chat, thank you for joining us today. I know that many of you are actually in half term down here in the Middle East and Europe. It's the half term break now, so including myself. So if you are joining on your holiday, then thank you very much. I know Dean is on holiday as well in Cairo for half term. And I just recently learned, Cara, that there is no half term in North America, or it's coming later in November. And so you guys are troopers and hanging in there. You started much earlier than us in the middle of August, right? And you are still going straight.
Well, it depends on the part of the country. New York starts after Labor Day, which is the first weekend it's the first Monday in September. So we start after that. Some other parts of the country, like Florida and down south, they start in the middle of August. Wow. And they don't really get a good break until December.
Wow. Well, you guys are all troopers, you and everybody else in the chat. And so just a massive shout out to all of you who are doing such an incredible job to support students, leaders, families through this COVID-19 pandemic. Everybody's in different situations right now, some in hybrid, some face-to-face, some we've just returned back to online learning because we are going through rotational lockdown now since 3 weeks ago, I think. So everybody's in different situations, but what a beautiful time then to be able to learn from each other. And so thank you so much for coming to share your expertise.
Yeah. My email is in the presentation. If anyone wants to contact me, that's great.
Yeah, and before we go, I'm also going to drop Cara's Twitter handle in the chat for YouTube for you guys, so that you guys can connect with her on Twitter as well. So here is her Twitter handle. I've just shared that in the chat. And yeah, so thanks everybody for joining today. We are back to, so we have two events this Friday afternoon at 4 p.m. GMT +3. Cara, don't come. I think that's really early in the morning for you. Okay. But in our time zone, it'll be 4 p.m. in the afternoon. We have our end of the month monthly webinar series, which is really going to be super exciting, guys. Please don't miss it, because we are celebrating a 1-year anniversary for GEGMM that just passed on the 17th of October. So we want to do a big celebration to shout out all the amazing educators that are part of the team and the amazing things that they are doing across Jordan and across the EMEA region. So be sure to join us at 4 p.m. We'll also cover some of the Google Workspace updates as well. And you guys know there's always googly treats in there for us as well. For all of you, sorry, from us to all of you. A little bit of a faux pas there. Shannon's really excited. Awesome. Dina's excited too. Great. Cara, you're welcome to join. I just didn't want you to feel you had to wake up early to come.
wait, no, I would be happy to.
But
I'll give it my best shot.
bless. No, that's awesome. But yeah, come on out, guys. Join us on Friday, and then we'll be back again next Tuesday for our regular Tips Tuesday. And next week is the Tip Tuesday together. So we are going to be having another special guest talking and sharing their success stories and strategies that are helping them cope through the current new normal pandemic in education. So we look forward to seeing everybody there on Friday at 4 p.m. and then regular slot Tuesday evening at 6 p.m. GMT +3. So thanks again, everybody, for joining. Thank you to Kara for joining all the way from New York.
A great experience.
We are so excited to have you joining us down here, and we appreciate all of the amazing resources and expertise you shared with us. I can't wait personally to look into the Breakout EDU and some more videos from Ben Cogswell. He's been brilliant with his littles as well. So thank you so much for everything, Kara. Stay safe, guys. Stay safe, stay creative, and stay googly. We'll see you on Friday. Take care.